All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Wow, this is great. I love it to be able to present our Strive principles to our audience and to those members that have so faithfully has joined us for many years, and we practice these principles year round. So it's great to see everyone here. So let me start by saying that this is our Strive principle number 2. So we have 6 Strive principles, and this is Strive principle number 2, which is truth. Face the truth about your financial lifestyle and commit to making necessary changes. Now let's get into it a little bit deeper. What you will learn. So you will learn how to look at you in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror. That's really important for us to do that. A lot of times we don't see ourselves. We don't see our value. So I encourage you to look at yourself in the mirror. This is about you. This webinar is about you. It's about you telling yourself the truth. There's no one else that will understand your truth other than you. This is not about your spouse. This is not about your children. This is not about Beyonce and Jay-Z and what they're doing. This is all about you. So I want you to spend time with you. And that's what this webinar is all about, is spending time with you. So look at yourself in the mirror and spend some time with you. And this is about you. This personal development webinar is all about you. So let's get started. Well, who am I and why am I presenting this webinar? So let me first start with this. I am the managing director for Strive World Builders. We are a business club for real estate investors. My name is Detra Harris, and I have 30 years background in real estate. But I'm not here to share that with you. What I'd like to share with you is a little bit of my background from growing up, because that makes a really big difference as to why I created this system. Now, I grew up in San Francisco, born and raised in San Francisco. And my parents, one of my parents, my father is from the Fillmore, and my mother is from the Hunters Point area. And so I get a little bit of both. I get a little Fillmore and a little Hunters Point area, little Hunters Point in me. So at the age of 16, I was raised by my grandmother. Unfortunately, my mother, she unfortunately was a drug addict. And then unfortunately, she lost her life very early on in my, very early in my life, in my early 20s. So I had to, just reach out to other people in my family to help me get by with that. My grandmother raised me, and unfortunately, at when I was 16 years old, she moved into senior housing in the Fillmore. And I thought it was a nursing home, so I didn't want to move in with her. So what I decided to do was to live with my aunt. And unfortunately, my aunt didn't have a room for me, so I ended up staying in her living room for my entire senior year. Uh, but that was my choice, because I could have lived with my grandmother, but I chose not to. But one of the things I learned from my grandmother and from her senior housing is that I felt that I can do better than the property management company. I was not happy with the way they were running their apartment building, and I didn't like her living there. So I thought to myself, I could do a better job than that. And growing up, we predominantly lived in houses. So this was all new to me, apartment living. And so that's where I started, just in my mind. I want to make sure that I invest into real estate and contribute back to society in a really positive way. So that's what I decided to do. Now, after that, I met a young man who happened to be a broker, and he encouraged me to get my real estate license. So that's what I did. I obtained my real estate license, and then um, after that, I moved into property management, and that was over 30 years ago. I started as a leasing agent, and then I moved into as a resident manager position, assistant manager, and then I moved into a portfolio manager, and up and up the scale that I went for property and working with property management companies. And then eventually I started my own property management company, and I started buying properties. And so that encouraged me to continue on in this business. And that's who I am. I That's one of the reasons why I started this Strive Wealth Builders, is to encourage others to grow their passive income, to make better financial decisions, and the same. So why am I presenting this webinar? Well, one of the reasons why I'm presenting this webinar is because for me personally, I've had such a huge challenge with managing money. And again, I started real estate investing very early on in my life, and I was able to be successful at growing a property management company. And then I even went into development, and I was successful at developing some apartment buildings as well as some condominiums and some single family homes. But I really sucked at managing my money. Now, when in school, I didn't learn those things. But later on, I went to accounting classes. I even graduated from several women organizations that teaches you how to run your business, how to review your financial documents, and so on. But I still was struggling. I still was struggling on how do you manage your money? How do you invest your money properly? A lot of these things we just don't get in school. We just don't. And so that's why I'm presenting this webinar, is because I needed a system. I want to start with me first. I needed a system. I needed a system that's going to help me stay on track, that's going to help me learn, because my money was just going out of the door as soon as I make it. So many of you might have some of those similar issues with your money. It's just, it's a system that you have to create for yourself, not for anyone else. As I said earlier, for those, I see many of you are starting to come in. As I said earlier, this webinar is about you looking in the mirror, telling yourself what is your truth about your financial lifestyle, and making those necessary changes to improve your financial decisions and so on. So that's why I'm presenting this webinar. It's for me, it's for you as well, because I'm sure a lot of you may share some of the same experiences that I experienced coming up. Now, tell yourself the truth about your financial lifestyle starts with this. At Strive Wealth Builders, we are a business club for real estate investors. There's two components to what we talk about at our meetings, and what our goals are. And it starts with Strive. So Strive is an acronym that I created, and that's a system. It's a personal development system. Now, we have 6 principles that we rotate on a 6-month rotation schedule. We start with sacrifice. That's where it begins, with your sacrifice, telling yourself the truth, making sacrifices to make changes in your life, right? So then next we talk about truth, and that's what the webinar is today, is about what is your truth, what is your financial truth. And then next we talk about relationships, which is very important in order to build a strong real estate investing business. You definitely have to have some strong relationships, not only in real estate, but in everything you do. If you are not interested in real estate investing, I don't know why you wouldn't be. But if you're not, say you have other plans, relationships are very important in everything you do, from your family to your friends, uh, and just in general, in the public, at your workplace. It's about relationships. So we talk a lot about relationships, integrity, value, and education. So those are our 6 principles, and we rotate them on a 6-month rotation schedule. So what we are talking about today is Strive principle number 2, which is truth. Okay, so again, we practice these Strive principles in a rotation schedule. February is we celebrate truth. So January, we celebrate sacrifice. And February, we celebrate truth. Relationships, we celebrate in March. Integrity, we celebrate in April. Value in May, and education in June. And then we start all over again. Now, why is that important? It's similar. It's very similar to reading a book. You read a book and you don't remember everything that's in the book. So you have to go back and you have to read that book a couple of times before it kind of soak in. So this is a practice for a lifetime. And I tell you, it has worked for me. So when I have been practicing these principles for the last 7 years, because again, it's very challenging for me to stay on track. With life is so busy, and we have so much going on in life, from our kids to our spouse to our bosses, everything we have to do, paying bills, all these things, and we just fall off track. So it's really important to have a support system, to have a system in place for you. Everyone is completely different. Everyone finances are different. And so I strongly advise not to look at someone else's finances and measure yourself up with them. And we often do that. I'll go back to let me go back to this slide. I just have to, because this is so very important. This is the mirror. This is you looking in the mirror. It's about you. This webinar is all about you. It's not about me. It's not about my kids. It's not about your kids. It's not about your spouse, your boss. It's not about you looking at, Atlanta Housewives, and anyone else that you want to measure yourself to. It's really about taking time for you, and you deserve it. We all deserve to be happy, to have joy, to have cash flow in our lives. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I have been struggling so many years, and then when I created the system, and now I have cash flow coming in, it's just I sleep better. I feel more secure in my life. And let's just talk about the pandemic. Through the pandemic, how many families are suffering? We've lost so many lives, but how many Americans was not prepared financially for this hit? So that's one reason why that I'm glad you joined this webinar, because it is important, highly important, that we take care of ourselves, and then we're able to take care of everyone else after we take care of ourselves to some degree. Now, let me ask you this. Let me ask you to ask yourself these questions. These are just 3 questions I'm going to ask you, but there are so many other questions that I do ask when I am working, presenting my workshops, or when I'm working with someone one-on-one. There's a lot more questions that we ask. So this is just the standard questions. Are you living paycheck to paycheck? That means at the end of your pay period, do you have less than $100 that you're working with? So as you got less than $100 and you're thinking to yourself, oh, Friday is payday. Oh my God, I can't wait to Friday, because that's my payday. I only got $100, to last me until my payday. Or perhaps I need to put 2 of my paychecks together in order to pay rent or mortgage or my car note. If you're in that boat, then I strongly suggest this webinar is for you. But if you're in that boat, I strongly suggest making changes right away. Do you have a financial plan? I don't mean a household budget. We all have a household budget, whether it's written or not. We know if you have income coming in, you have a budget. You have to pay your rent, you have to pay your utilities, and so on. A lot of it is in our heads. We don't write it down on a piece of paper, but we should do that. Now, let me say this, because I'm guilty of this. I don't want to write anything down. Life is so busy. I don't have time to sit down and do all of that. I know how much money I have coming in. I know what my rent is. I know what my car note is. I know how much I got to pay for my cell phone, and I know I got to eat and all that. So I don't need all that. Well, maybe that's why you're looking at this webinar, is because you feel you don't need all that. Okay. So now, looking at your bank account every day is not a written financial plan. So how do we do that? I've done all this. Let me tell you, I've done all of this, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Okay, how much money am I working with today? Oh, I know I have to pay this and do that. And, I do want to go get that shirt, that blouse that I saw, that purse that on Amazon. You can't afford it because you're living paycheck to paycheck. So have a written plan. Have a written financial plan. I'm going to give you some tips on how you can get started with that at the end of the webinar. By the way, thank you all for joining here. I love to see everyone that's participating. Why? Because it lets me know that you are ready to make some changes in your life. So if you have some questions, we're going to wait to the end of the webinar, and there's a Q&A that you can stick in your questions there, and I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Okay, now, do you have a emergency funds? So that's 6 months household expenses. Do you have 6 months of your household expenses set aside? Most Americans do not. Most Americans, especially if you live here in California. Now, if you live outside of California, I'd like to know that. We've got a few people here, and it's good to see you all. If you're not here from California, you live in other states. We own property in other states, and I'm crazy. I live here in California, and it's so expensive here to live. So to have 6 months of emergency funds set aside could be very challenging for those that live in areas that is really expensive to live. Uh, uh, the rates are really high, the rents are high, everything is high. The food is just keep going up and up. Just it goes on and on and on. And on top of that, we're in a pandemic, and it's just crazy. So but I strongly suggest working on that, working on setting aside 6 months of your household expenses. Have one credit card that is equivalent to 6 months of your household expenses. I'll tell you, when you do have that, you will sleep so good at night knowing that you have emergency funds. Again, I come back to the pandemic because that's what we are experiencing right now. So many Americans are suffering financially because they was not prepared for this. They did not have money set aside that was going to support them during emergencies such as a pandemic. And let me warn you, this is not the end of this. There are always emergencies. There are always emergencies. For instance, if you own a property, I talked about this earlier today. If you own your primary home, that's a liability, that's a bill. You have a 30-year mortgage. Who knows what's going to happen in 30 years? So you want to be prepared and have cash flow, passive income coming in. So if you do lose your job, if you have an emergency or have to, for one reason or another, have to get up and move to another area or whatever your emergency may be, um, we have to be prepared for those things. And so I strongly suggest that if any of these questions you're answering, I live from paycheck to paycheck, I do not have a written plan, and I do not have emergency funds, then you're in the right place. So who is this webinar for? We struggle. It's for those that just feel like we're always struggling. But let me say this, and I'm going to say it from my perspective. I'm a Black woman, so my experience will be different than others. Everyone's experience is different. But let me say this: coming from growing up in a Black family, we are unfortunately used to struggling. I mean, we started from the plantation, struggling. And it's a mindset. It's all a mindset. So this webinar is for those that want to make changes in their lives, financial changes, that you want cash flow. You want to live a better life. That's who this webinar is for, right? And what's its purpose? The purpose is to help you be successful financially in your life. Now, this is only one principle in Strive. There are six, and it's well rounded. We talk about 100% balance in your life. It starts from sacrifice and it ends with education and all in between. So we practice this on a rotation schedule because it keeps us focused, it keeps us active, and it keeps it in front of your mind that you need to make changes, and it helps you to do that. Now, how can you benefit? And how can you increase your cash flow? I'm going to give you some tips on that. So let's start with the mirror. As I said before, see you. There's no one else like you. You are one of a kind. God only make one you. So a lot of times we are so concerned with other people and what they're doing that we miss the boat about ourselves. Love who you are. When you are strong and solid and stand firm into who you are, no one can touch that. So we have a lot of shoulds, right? You should do this. You should wear that. You should lose weight. You should just on and on and on. You should make this kind of money. You should buy this car. You should buy this house. Just all these shoulds that comes on us daily, it makes you crazy, just crazy. So love you, see you, right? And that's where it starts. Then identify poor financial habits and make changes. I can help you do that. I have helped several people create their life plan, their financial plan, and live a happier life. I am living a happier life after practicing these six principles, and you can do the same. Learn how to increase your cash flow. So that's what this is all about. We want to increase our cash flow. Now, I'm not saying money is not everything. So we understand that. So don't, settle for less, and definitely don't make any, decisions around money that you shouldn't. That's going to get you in trouble. But we all know, and let's keep it real here, that we need cash flow. We need money to support ourselves, to support our families. We have to send our kids to college. We want to buy our primary home, our dream homes. We want nice cars. We want nice clothes. We want to eat good. We want to eat, good food. Don't go get those meat packets. I did that. My cousin told me that. My cousin said, go over here to this location, I don't want to say, and buy these meat packets, and they $30. Don't do that. You want to eat good. You want to have nice juicy steaks or chicken or fish. You don't, and over the counter. Don't get that packaged stuff. So how can you afford to do that? And I don't even want to hear I can't afford to do it. You can't afford to do it. It's your decision. You decide. Now remember, going back up to that, see you, love you. You decide how you're going to live your life financially. No one else, not your husband, not your wife, not your kids. Okay, stop looking at Beyonce and Jay-Z and what they have and you don't have. Don't do that. Okay, this is about you. You have to walk down your path in your life, and you create your destiny, right? Live a financially free lifestyle. Telling you, I'm telling you right now, it's the way to go. I just can't to sleep and to know that from the first to the fifth of the month, I get rental income coming in. Whether I get up out, whether I decide to take a phone call or to go anywhere or to do anything, that money's coming in. Life changing, completely life changing. All right. So how can you, again, benefit, and how can you grow your passive income and make more cash flow and so on? You can attend webinars. So I'm doing these webinars, and I'll be doing these webinars monthly. So according to our rotation schedule. So next month I'll be talking about relationships and how important building relationships is, and giving you some tips on that. Also, you can read Strive Principle. I have created a system that works, and I have put it in a workbook. And I also provide personalized workshops that we talk about you. Remember, this is all about you. It's not about me. I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about you. When I design a personalized workshop for you, it's about you. Also, we have annual retreats where we come together as a group over the weekend, usually Saturdays and Sunday, a Saturday and Sunday. We leave our household. Tell your spouse, hey, I'm leaving this weekend. It's about me. I'm doing me this weekend. Okay. So we leave for a couple of days, and we work on ourselves. It's personal development. And we study these Strive principles, these 6 principles at the retreat, and we eat really good, by the way. And if you like a little wine, you can add that too, or even a cocktail. Then also you can go through Strive Real Estate Investing Training course. It's included in the courses. So if you are interested in real estate investing, which I suggest everyone at least buy 1 or 2 properties. You may not want to start a real estate investing business, but please consider at least having 1 or 2 properties that's generating some cash flow for you, equity, and that you can pass down. Is called legacy wealth, right? You want to grow that legacy wealth, leave it to, whomever, if it's your children or a foundation or what have you. And it's a great retirement plan. So think about that. All right. So there's a few ways that you can expand yourself with Strive Principles. One of the ways is visiting our website at strivewealthbuilders.com and go to our training center. You can select several courses, whatever fits your lifestyle, your needs, whatever you want to learn. I'm here to help you. We've also partnered with Gary Johnson. Now, Gary will provide for $25. He will provide our members with a financial checkup. It's called Finance 101. It's a financial checkup for beginners. If you've never had any financial planning at all, I strongly suggest starting there. So I've had people tell me, especially some of my clients, okay, I can't afford anything because I'm living paycheck to paycheck. $25 is a lot of money for me. And why do I need a financial planner when I don't have any money? You know, what is the financial planner going to do? They're going to look at how broke I am. So let me tell you this right now. If you cannot manage $500, you cannot manage 500,000. A lot of people believe like, well, just give me the money. I know how to manage it. It doesn't work. I'm telling you, I've been there. It doesn't work like that. You have to learn how to manage your money. You have to get the training that's necessary. Read books, webinars, CDs, YouTube, everything you can do to learn about how to manage your money, you should do that. So Gary is offering this at a discounted rate to our members. Now remember, you can join Strive Real Estate. I'm sorry, that's our real estate firm. You can join Strive Wealth Builders, and it doesn't cost any membership fees to join. And you can take advantage of this with Gary for $25. And it's a start, right? So I highly suggest that. But what I really would like for you to do today is purchase the Strive Principle Workbook. It tells you a lot more detail about the Strive Principles. It's going to help you stay on track with your lives. And there are so many tools in there that I teach and that I train, but you can start just by picking up the book for $12.47 today. There is the link there. You can copy that. It's and go straight to PayPal. There is no shipping fees, and you can get this book today for $12.47. A small investment for your personal development. Can't beat that. So I'll leave it on the screen for a couple of seconds so you can take that picture with your phone, or you can write down the link, because this is the only way from this webinar that you're going to get this half off price for $12.47 with no shipping at all. So I strongly suggest that you do that today. Okay, how can you reach me? So if you have any questions, if you want to learn more information, I strongly suggest that you visit our website at strivewealthbuilders.com. Here's my information. You can reach me by email at Detra at strivewealthbuilders.com. Also, you can call our office at 510-833-2154. I'm extension number 1. We are located in Albany, California at the Atrium Plaza, 828 San Pablo Avenue, Suite 106C. Now, we are open for business under the pandemic. We are practicing social distancing. However, I do give live in-person courses as well as online courses. So it's your option if you want to get out of the house, or you want to get out sometime, because we are sheltering. We are practicing social distancing, and we have all the tools that you need, the hand sanitizers, and make sure you wear the mask and everything. And if you want to come into the office for your personalized visit, I'll be happy to serve you. Now, for everyone that's attending today, you will get a bonus. I'm going to send you by email the money management workbook. This is the workbook that I train my clients with to control their finances. It takes you back to the basics. In addition to that, we talk about our wealth ratio. We're really big in our club about the wealth ratio. And what that is, it's a formula that, and you'll see it in the workbook, it's a formula that you calculate that determines what is your household expenses and what your passive income is. And if you do not have passive income, let's talk a little bit about that. Passive income is you're sleeping at night, you're not materially involved, and you're getting cash in. So from your investments, it could be real estate, it could be stocks and bonds. That goes up and down. I'm a conservative person, but we do have stocks. And so it could be stocks. It could be a business. You can own a business that you do not materially participate, and the money is just coming in monthly. Active income is when you're working and that's a paycheck, right? Or also active income is self-employment as well. So I have two. I have passive income and I have active income. But let me tell you about active income. When you enjoy what you do, and I truly enjoy what I do, then it really doesn't feel like work, right? So, but it's still the IRS consider it active income. So I have two coming in, and I strongly suggest you also create your plan to create passive income in addition to active income if that's what you choose to do. So that's all in this workbook, and it's yours for free today for attending the webinar. And I hope that you have learned a lot for today. Now, next month, I will be talking about relationships. And so please look for our announcement so you can join us for the relationship principle number 3. Does anyone have any questions? Please put it in the chat in the question and answer, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay, no questions. Well, I want to thank all of you for joining me this evening, and I look forward to seeing you at the next Strive Principle number 3, which I will be discussing relationships. Have a good night.